Dr. Tanko, Yinusa, we appreciate your patience very much indeed. But seeing and listening to all that is playing out now, one wonders what your impression is of what is going on and where all of this is headed.
Well, we want to thank God for His mercy that we wake up today in Kaduna. At least we survived the night and all. But the situation is really getting to a position in which we will say that Kaduna is gradually or technically being surrounded. If you recall, some couple of months ago, where the governor was making a statement saying that there's no negotiation with the bandits, and then in fact we're going to go after them and all of those. I guess he's talking from a strong position of a governor who has all that it takes to fight this particular insurgency. But it appears to us that is not the situation at the moment, because the video tapes that we were being touted around showing how the bandits are daring the governor and telling him that they are going to show the governor what they are capable of and all of those ones, that tends to send a lot of shiver around the populace in Kaduna. Unfortunately, here we are constantly. You hear attacks coming from the north side, west side, east side of the state, and gradually it is encroaching into the state capital itself, and that is the most scary part of it. But we are worried that if the government is not communicating with the parents and the people that their children or their spouses have been abducted, I don't know the kind of succor in which these people will rely on. So it now becomes a kind of a struggle where everybody has to really go out to look for himself or herself. And that is totally unacceptable. And that has been associated with the issue of this government generally. The communication gap within the government and the people is sad. Unfortunately, also recently we have seen the governor announcing the relieving of 4,000 workers from the state. That has generated a lot of heat, and then coming with also an increase in tuition fees of Kaduna State University. Now, instead of the people getting them kind of a relief in certain way, they become more agitated, and that gives us the room where bandits or any other person who wants to inflict damage in the state to find an inner way, because now people will be angry, and then in order to show their own anger, they become vulnerable to all kinds of incessant attacks that may be happening in the state. I think it is time now. There's a concerted effort that has to be done. And I'm glad that from some of your clips that you've shown earlier on, some of the leaders in the government who are claiming that they are going to do something within 1 week. I hope that by the time 1 week surpasses, they will be able to carry their phones when you call them to give us an account as regard to what is happening in the country. And I want to doubt probably very much that 1 week will be enough for any kind of meaningful action to be done, except, of course, it has been coordinated undertone when the Nigerian people are not fully aware. But quite honestly, I think it's time now the government needs to reach out to both the local and international community for support, even though I may not be able to say subscribing to the issue of machineries and the case may be as a solution. No, because the issue of mercenaries right from the beginning has also had its own negative effect affecting the country, because you've now given your intel to some other person that you do not know, and at the end of it all, they will use it against you whenever you did not take care of them. And that comes with the fact that when I saw the Niger State governor speaking with regard to the issue of some part of his state being the insurgency coming in, I remember with nostalgia where some of the bandits, some of us have been crying for long, that some of these governors were the ones who have one way or the other empowered these individuals who felt that the kind of promises being made to them were not being done. So they're taking their pound of flesh onto the innocent people. And quite honestly, that is not acceptable. This is not the kind of government that Nigerians really voted for. What we were expecting problem solvers. We are expecting people who can secure the country. We are expecting people who can bring succor, who can open the doors and create jobs for Nigerians. We're expecting people who will be able to lead this country and give them room to believe, yes, that the children of the poor can be educated, just like it was touted at the earliest part of our Kaduna State Governor when he was sending the message around in the central market there. You see this signpost saying that the children of the poor will be given room to be well educated. But today, when you are talking about paying 500,000 naira for a non-indigenous, 300,000 naira for an indigenous, 150,000 naira for an indigenous, 200,000 naira for a non-indigenous. These are policies that can really, really ignite a lot of trouble. And at the end of the statement, you come out and say, you better take it or leave it. I don't think this is the kind of government that Nigerians really bargain for.
Well, you know, you touched on a good number of the issues that have been raised here this morning, but, you know, sadly, it doesn't really help to, when people are just generally confused about what to do when the major thing is something that should have been prevented as opposed to be dealing with it. Then there are those who are wondering, perhaps this is some concerted effort by some forces, because you've also heard so many people in authority say that, you know, politicians are behind some of these problems that we're encountering. Perhaps well, first of all, what do you say to those ones? Because the belief in those quarters would be that it's an attempt to discredit the government so that the government is not able to do the things that they promised to the people. What do you make of that?
Strategy. It is the same strategy that this particular government used against the successive government. You remember with all nostalgia, with the kind of campaign that the present Minister of Information rose and be making during that particular time. In fact, it was already put on the public domain where some of the party members who were together with them at that point of time said that they were the ones that recruited Malaysians from outside the country to come and distort the former government in order for them to gain power. I am happy that some of their chieftains now are coming openly to agree to some of the things that they have done against the people. And I think that is treasonable because they were politicians too, and they used the same tactics of bringing insurgency into the country in order to win. And so when they tell you that it's politically motivated, then they know that there are some people trying to get a pound of flesh. But for me, the issue of political involvement in all of this, which has already been confirmed, is the most easiest way to solve. But unfortunately, this particular government is so adamant, and they believe that they can do it all. They believe that they have all that it takes. They believe that whoever speaks against the government is somebody that they can go after. They believe that whenever you give solutions or suggestions on how things can be done, they find you as an enemy to government, which is not so. That is not how to run government. They have excluded virtually almost everybody in their government. In fact, it has also shown the highest level of nepotism was already been extrapolated in this particular government. And when you do that, you annihilate people from your system. These are people that you're supposed to govern, giving them what it takes, what you promise. That has not been done either. And so you should expect people will be politically strong enough to challenge you. And now that is why the center can no longer hold. The situation in which we find ourselves is a creation of the government itself, and solutions ought to be found by the government. I mean, take a look at it. Have there been any kind of a security conference that have been called by this government? Has there been any kind of a conference that has been called by this government to say, okay, political conference, let us sit down as a people. Now you are pleading. Because that's what I will use. This same government is now pleading for people to cooperate with them. Have they cooperated with the people? They have not even in one way or the other found the other people as important at all. And so they fried their eggs and their chickens, and they are eating it the way they want it, and people are dishing it to them the way they feel they can dish to them. We as Nigerians, we are ready to work together and cooperate with government. But with a government who is purposeful in nature, who is receptive in nature, a government who is able to call people and say, look, we have this challenge, we need help. A government who will be able to say, let's sit down on a drawing board. You are not different from me, I'm not different from you. Where are the areas in which you are pained? Let us find solution to it. That is how to run government. And it is that particular kind of suggestion that when you get people around you and talk to them, and they will now come up with concrete suggestions. There's no doubt there is an internal and external conspiracy in this particular scenario. There's no doubt about it. But the fact is that the government itself have not done anything to show that they are ready to get solutions. And so,
all right, Mr. Tanko, we do thank you very much indeed for your perspectives this morning.